Hi BookTube, my name is Juan. I am just one reader, and it looks as though due to the coronavirus situation going on at the moment, I will have some time to catch up on my reading and also on my videos. So I will be answering right now the vacation book tag, which was created by Steve Donahue, and I was tagged by my friend Sarah from Hardcover Hearts. So, yeah, the vacation book tag. I have to say, I was going on vacation in 2 weeks. I was going to New York and I was going to see a lot of Broadway shows, especially the new Company revival celebrating Stephen Sondheim's birthday with Patti LuPone. I was going to the Met to see the opera. I was going to see Tosca finally. But it's been canceled. It's been canceled for obvious health reasons, and so no vacation for me, but at least I have the vacation book tag to compensate. Because, well, we gotta do what we gotta do, right? So, the first question in the vacation book tag is, what is your favorite book about somebody taking a vacation? And I have three different answers for this question. The first one is The Duchess of Bloomsbury Street by Helene Hanff. And this is actually the same answer that Sarah gave in her own video. The reason why is because we are two halves of one reader. Sarah and I, we both share the same love and passion and warm interest for Helene Hanff and for uh, this book in particular and Charing Cross as well. But this one is just a great book about this wonderful character person, Helene Hanff, going to England and finally getting to see all the sights and getting to meet many people and just experiencing London, which is something that she had always wanted to do. So if you haven't read this book, it's absolutely wonderful, but I do advise that you read 84 Charing Cross Road first. The second answer that I have for this question is another book by the same author, but this is actually my personal favorite of her books. This is Apple of My Eye, and it is not really about her taking a vacation, but it is about herself getting to see a different side of her hometown or her the place where she lived most of her life, which is New York City. So Helene Hanff was commanded to write this like tour guide book, like travel book, guide to New York City, and she realized that she didn't have a lot of information because she, being a New Yorker, she lacked the touristy kind of information about the city, and so she embarked upon a great adventure of getting to know her city. And it is just a delightful book from beginning to end. It is one of my favorite books ever, period. Now, excuse me, I have to take a break. I need to drink water, and this is supposed to be one of the best mineral waters in the world. It is Mexican, and it is really huge. But the reason why I'm constantly drinking mineral water is because, or sparkling water, is because the environment here is very, very poor. Right now, it's very dusty and it's very bad if you have allergies like myself. So it really helps to constantly be drinking water with all of these minerals and, you know, sodium and potassium and all these great things. Oh, and it really is wonderful. So my third answer for this question is Less by Andrew Sean Greer, a book that many of you probably are familiar with. It is about this wonderful character, Les. I think his name is Andrew, no. what's his name? Well, Arthur. Well, he goes by the name of Les, and he goes on an adventure to different places in the city. He actually comes to Mexico City, and he goes from place to place, and we get to see many different parts of the world through his eyes. But it's also incredibly sweet, incredibly funny, and incredibly observant. It is a book for smart readers because if you are it's very easy to think that this book is simple or simplistic, but in my opinion, a reader who thinks that is not a very smart reader. In my opinion, this is probably my personal taste, but yeah, I adored this book. The second question is, do you read travel writing? And if so, what are your favorites? I don't read travel writing, but I have to say that I have read some nonfiction books that include some sort of travel writing or something along those lines. For example, I am thinking right now of The Bookshop Book by Jen Campbell, which is a book about books. So it's not really travel writing, but we get to see and experience many different corners of the globe in terms of the way that they approach book selling and just the business of books. So I really enjoyed that aspect of that particular book. Now, that being said, I don't read travel writing per se. Maybe I should. Maybe I need a recommendation. Please let me know what would be a good entry point. Question number 3, what are your books on vacation rituals? I have a very tight, strict personal policy. I don't usually read when I am on vacation because it is vacation. And for me, my vacation, my idea of taking a vacation usually involves traveling. It usually involves a lot of activity. It usually involves going to see shows and plays and musicals, or going to bookstores and buying a lot of books. It usually involves a lot of shopping and walking around from place to place. So there's not really a lot of space left for just reading. So I don't usually read. So I don't really have an answer. Question number 4. What is your favorite book that you first read or found when you were on vacation? And this book, it's one of my favorite books, and it is a book that I read on a road trip, which counts as vacation, maybe, probably, hopefully. So this is The Angel's Game, which is the sequel to The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón, a book that many people are familiar with, but not a lot of people are familiar with the sequel. And let me tell you, the sequel is very different, but I really love it as well. So this book came out in 2014 one morning, and I had a road trip that day, or I think it was a couple of days, with my family. And I picked this book up from the bookshop first thing in the morning, and then I went on the road trip, and I didn't even look out the window. I was completely immersed in Carlos Ruiz Zafón's gorgeous writing style and the vivid descriptions and the gothic horror that is found in these pages. And it's a book that I've read many, many, many times. It's super addictive. It's really thrilling and just a lot of fun. And yeah, I read it first on a road trip. Question number 5 is, have you ever light-fingered a book from a vacation stay? Never. Question number 6, what are some of your favorite books set in exotic locales? So I thought of 3, but they're all set in very exotic locales, but they are fictional, so they're not real. The first one was Cien Años de Soledad, 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. It's set in the wonderful setting of Macondo, which is sort of Colombian ground, but very exotic and completely magical. Then I also thought of The Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Juster, which is a book that I read as a grown man a couple of years ago, and I absolutely loved it. It is just one of the best books I've ever read. It's absolutely wonderful, and I love the way that it plays with language and setting, you know? The other book that I thought of was The Neverending Story, which I always say is my favorite book of all time, even though the last time that I read it must have been like 10 years ago. Maybe I should do a reread of this sometime soon. So yeah, this is my favorite book, and it is set in the realm, the kingdom of Fantasia, which is probably my favorite setting other than Hogwarts. Water break. If you haven't tried this water, oh my God, it's just, you just feel hydrated. Ah, it's wonderful. Question number 7. Do you think the coronavirus will kill us all? I don't think the coronavirus will kill all of us. No, that's the short answer. No. Be smart, be clever, be safe, but don't get too anxious about things. That's my way of looking at things, at least. And finally, question number 8 is, what was the last book that you read while on vacation? And that's actually the last book that I finished, and sadly, the only book that I have finished in 2020 because I am a sad reader. And that was Sarah Waters' Tipping the Velvet. This book, I read it throughout December and the first week of January, and I read a big chunk of it in December when I was in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and because it was summer there in December, so it was very hot outside, and I spent a couple of afternoons just indoors, kicking back, enjoying the air conditioning system, and reading this wonderful book. I really enjoyed that experience, and it is the only book that I have finished in 2020 because that's very sad. Now, that being said, I think the coronavirus situation here will allow me to read a lot more. That's actually what I plan to do. I plan to work as much as I can. I won't be teaching class because classes have been canceled. There's many things that I cannot do, but I will try to work as much as I can to stay sane. But other than that, I'm just planning on going to the gym. It's still open and it's still safe here. So I'm planning on going to the gym quite a bit. And the rest of the time, I will try to read. I am going to be reading psychoanalysis, a lot of psychoanalysis, because that's my thing. And I also want to keep reading The Parasites by Daphne du Maurier. That was the last book that I started, and I will probably have to start again from page 1. So, how are you doing in this coronavirus situation? How are you experiencing the world and the environment right now? What are you doing to stay healthy? Not just physically healthy, but mentally healthy. It's a lot of anxiety and panic going on at the moment. So let me know, and hopefully I will see you soon with an update on my reading, and cheers.